Good evening, everyone. Welcome to YourBostonSports.com. I'm Rob Goodwin, along with my co-host, who you may not remember, Randy Flanagan. Welcome.
Me. Hello, everybody.
How's everything?
Excellent.
Good to see you. Good to see you in the studio tonight.
Glad to be back again.
You are back.
I'm sort of like a guest appearance now, right? Am I still a host?
You're still a host. But see, you have some redeeming to do.
Okay.
So we'll have to see how things go over the next, X number of months.
All right. Sounds good.
Now,
trial period.
Trial period. As you can see, Korn is not here. He had a cancellation at the last minute and couldn't make it.
He heard I was coming.
No, that's not true. No. He canceled at the last minute, unfortunately, but we figured we go forward. And on the phone with us is our good friend from NFL Network, and he's free to say what other networks he also works for. Steve Dresner, how are you tonight?
I'm going to steal a line from the four-letter in back and better than ever.
Back and better than ever.
How are you guys?
Excellent.
Doing well. So do you want to divulge what other networks you work for?
No.
You're very much in demand. We know that.
You can't beat the Shield, let me tell you. But, good piece of baseball we got to cover the past couple of weeks. And, baseball is going to be interesting the next 2 weeks because we're going to find out who's in the World Series. We have to get each ALCS and NLCS done, but this could get interesting.
You covered the Nationals couple series?
Couple series, and the Orioles, got to see the Orioles and Royals today. And, hey, we're also approaching the halfway mark of the NFL season.
That's right.
For good or for worse.
And I think we're all rooting for at least an American League team. I'm rooting for the Royals myself. I do like the Orioles. I have no problem with Dan Duquette. I wouldn't mind seeing him build another world championship. But I'd say the Royals are the team that I hope wins.
I could see the Royals, although I think it's setting up very nicely for the Cardinals.
Uh-oh, Cardinals. What do you think of that, Steve? Cardinals.
Let me take this a step further. Let's suppose it's the Cardinals-Royals. We'll start with both of you guys. Is there any curiosity to watch the entire series? Are you gravitated because of past history, or you guys just won't care? Curious.
I'll speak for myself. I don't know that I'll watch the whole series, but I will definitely root for Kansas City. No question.
Same. I probably wouldn't watch the whole thing. I think I'll catch games here and there, but I'm not going to be sitting on the couch with my bag of Doritos waiting for the game to start.
You know, that question was put out there for the last couple of days to a week. And since baseball, as described, has gotten so watered down that just basically there are going to be more people who don't care if it's Royals Cardinals. I'm not saying people should outside the markets, but there are going to be a lot of people not watching baseball if it's even those two teams, let alone let's see how the ratings are going to be in general.
Yeah, and at least, the Cardinals have some history behind them and a pretty big following. But everybody roots for the underdogs. That works in the earlier rounds. I think as you get into the later rounds,
Absolutely.
It hurts, right?
But don't you think, baseball has a ratings problem anyways. And you could very well see, the ALCS, NLCS, and World Series just be great baseball. And don't you think that regardless, the ratings are going to be a problem no matter what, so we might as well just watch the games and enjoy?
Baseball right now, and I'm not sure you guys agree, but baseball to me right now is the single most watered-down sport going. It is watered down. It's watered down in so many different areas. And the bottom line is you can watch every game. You're going to pay for it, but you can watch every game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, years ago, safe to say when all of us were growing up, I mean, I don't know about you guys. I lived for two things. I lived for the baseball game of the week on Saturday with Vin and Joe and maybe Tony Kubek and Kirk Yachty. and then Monday Night Baseball at the time with Joe Garagiola, and then later on it was on ABC, and that's all you saw. And then you had to wait about 5 days till you got another national game.
True.
Now,
True.
that sexiness is gone.
Yeah, and I hate to say this just because we're Northeast, but the fact that the Sox weren't in it at pretty much at all, and the Yankees, let's face it, I mean, they were kind of in it, but they really weren't, right, for the last couple months of the season.
Right.
I mean, it's a huge part of the population that's not going to watch. The Mets weren't any good. The Philly wasn't. So you got the East Coast really, except for, down in the Washington area where you had Baltimore and the Nationals doing well. Atlanta's not a huge draw in terms of TV for baseball, is it?
Well,
TBS.
You bring up a good point in making a comparison in Washington, and I'll describe one interesting part. TV ratings during the fall and winter. People always enjoyed watching the Monday after Redskins lost. The description was they always enjoyed watching a train wreck and hearing from Gibbs and Spurrier. It's going back a bit, obviously. And they always enjoyed, hearing about the local train wreck when the Redskins lost. A few months ago, Sports Business Daily had an article featuring, latest baseball ratings. And on a national scale, you pay for whatever it's called on DirecTV, not the ticket, whatever baseball package is called. More people and Yankee haters, and obviously they're Red Sox haters, but Yankee haters from let's say Phoenix to Wyoming to so on are just paying for the packages. Okay, they're watching their favorite team, but they just want to see the Yankees lose. This is what it's come to.
What's wrong with that?
There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And where did the Red Sox fit in this? They ranked the teams as far as, based on a survey. Why did you buy that package? Did you buy it to watch the Red Sox or Yankees? And the Yankees were toward the top. Red Sox sat around 11th, 12th on the list. But the baseball's so watered down now, I think they got a bigger problem than they know what to do with. And I don't know if you guys read that the NBA signed a new TV deal worth billions with ABC, ESPN, and Turner. Billions. And that's unheard of. That's totally unheard of.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, baseball is a tough one. I think it's the game, the sport with the most games that people call boring. A lot of people can't watch it on TV because they think it's boring. I think it goes against them. And then, like you said, I mean, every game's on, so the true fans watch their games. And it's tough. I agree. You look at the game of the week on Fox on Saturdays, and ESPN during the week, Mondays and Wednesdays. I don't know, how much of a draw it is compared to NBA, even NHL. Hockey's popular,
Well, I will say this. I think baseball did a little bit to itself, with some of these late games. I think football is learning because they're I know some of the Monday night games. I think the first weekend they had one that started at 6:30 or 7 o'clock. So the East Coast folks could watch it, and then they started one at 10 or 10:30 for the West Coast folks. So, I don't know if that splits up the ratings or what have you, but at least, here we weren't up till 11:30 at night watching a game.
Right.
So I know they're not doing it the whole time, but I think that helps. Your kids aren't staying up watching baseball in the playoffs, and you lose that generation.
But yet attendance is very healthy, at games. Parents are taking their kids, as expensive it is, especially in Boston and New York. The fans are going, the attendance is good. So, I think the ratings are another story. I think that's reality as we know it.
I agree, but let's don't kid yourself. On a given night, you can see the lower bowl at Yankee Stadium I don't use the word empty, but, it's a sparse crowd, and I have no idea how much those seats are. I mean, I know they're club seats, but, $500 each, I couldn't even guess.
Right.
But look, they're not full every night. I mean, obviously on the weekends, a totally different story. But I still think right now it's the single most watered down sport, and I don't think it's getting any better as far as big picture. And I know it's popular. I know attendance is fine. Things have leveled out. But let's not forget something with Bud Selig leaving. Let's see now what direction they're going in with it.
Right.
Good point.
So let's get on to NFL and the Patriots. I know, Steve, you were covering the owners' meeting in Baltimore. Any tidbits of information you could pass on for what was going on down there?
Well, it was pretty funny. The past couple of days, the biggest news. If you were from the Buffalo area, new ownership from Buffalo was approved by all the league owners, and the Pagula family, who owns the Buffalo Sabres, ironically, who were officially approved by the other NFL owners, now own the Buffalo Bills. And, it was kind of ceremonial. They had also Mrs. Ford there, her husband, of course, who owned the Lions, passed away recently, along with Ralph Wilson, who owned the Bills. So it was a little ceremonious in that, and that got a lot of attention for half the meetings. And then, of course, the other half was dealing with the domestic violence policy, and the league brought in a consultant who they hired, Lisa Friel. Lisa Friel used to be a special prosecutor for the state of New York for special and violent crimes. She's on the payroll for the league. League brought her in, talked to owners, kind of described, how they're going to go about things. New information to tell you guys, basically the Ray Rice situation, that's still a November 17th date, I believe. But also the Mueller report isn't due out now, may not be due out much before the Super Bowl.
Gee, I can't wait.
What'd you say?
I can't wait for it.
Well, it's then you kind of have to go into the mode of what's it going to say, who's it going to blame. It's going to be one of these positives, negatives, and each little fact is going to cancel each one out.
Yep.
I mean, that's what it's going to come down to. We all know it.
And the Patriots. So Flanagan, the Patriots, 2-2. Brady looked horrible. Then he looked okay the last game. Are they? I'll throw this question out to both of you. Are they a team that's going to have a good season, or are they going to show flashes of brilliance every now and then and kind of disappoint us?
No, I think they're still going to end up with a pretty decent season. I think you just lit a fire under Brady again, and I think anytime anybody ever doubts him, he's going to come back and show what he's got. And again, he's doing it with not much of a receiving core, which has been his, pretty much the history behind him. And we've known that when they give him a receiver, they break records. So
right, I can't say I would blame him 100% because I'm not going to go out on a limb and say time to hang it up, Tom. But with the supporting cast he has or doesn't have, aside from Edelman, that's kind of like why I asked the question, is he doesn't have a Randy Moss, he doesn't have a Deion Branch in his prime. He's missing that. Gronkowski looks pretty good. I mean, looks like week 5 is going to be it's going along.
Well, and Tim Wright too. If they can run the 2 tight ends like they had in a few years back, that can be big. That to me struck me as the biggest change. And they have to use them. I think that's a good opportunity there. Mm-hmm. So I think you're probably going to see more of that.
Steve, what are your thoughts on Brady? Okay.
I don't go outside the box too often. Tom Brady, most likely will not either be the quarterback or with the New England Patriots in 2 years. Okay?
Okay.
I'm going to make that statement, right off the bat. I think the business culture is quickly changing around Bob Kraft, and I think Bill Belichick knows it. And Bill Belichick, who runs everything, and that's a rarity in this day and age, I think is going to do everything possible to set him, and this is any coach, but Bill Belichick is going to do anything possible to set his team up to win this year, next year, the year after, 4 years from now, and so on. He's a smart business guy as well, for most of the time. But no person is going to put all their eggs in a basket in Tom Brady for the next 5 years and not build, from youth, build from the bottom up. He's not stupid. I don't think Tom Brady is long for the job. And I'm basing this on business models, today's business models, and Tom Brady's running out of effective weapons, so to speak, for a lack of a better description, to go to on that team. I still think they'll be, 11-12 win this season. I do. But let's not kid ourselves here. No one is untouchable on any team in the NFL. I still believe that.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think, even if you look at history and Joe Montana and Brett Favre.
I mean, look what happened to Jerry Rice. People thought Jerry Rice was a 49er for life.
Right.
Did I remind you, Jerry Rice was once an Oakland Raider?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
We're seeing Joe Montana as a Kansas City Chief, or
who would have thought Montana
right.
Chiefs?
Yeah.
True.
So, to see Tom Brady, could you see Tom Brady in a Dolphins uniform? Oh, heaven forbid. You want to know something? It's possible in today's world.
Well, the rumor that's being floated is Tom Brady for 2 first-round picks. But it's a ridiculous rumor.
I would do that in a minute.
Okay, but the rumor started when someone asked some general manager, what do you think Tom Brady's worth? And he arbitrarily said 2 first-round picks. Okay? So then that was picked up by the Colin Cowherd show. I forget who was the one of the other ESPN talent was a guest on the show.
Yeah.
And then that was picked up and written about by someone on Boston.com. That is such a roundabout way to even start a rumor that is not true, that at least this year will not be true. They're not going to go with Jimmy Garoppolo as a starting quarterback and trade Tom Brady for 2 first-round picks. I don't believe it. I think it was a ridiculous rumor that was just manufactured by third hand, and I just think it's the most ridiculous thing.
Let me stretch something a minute with you guys. Let's go a little out there in the TMZ department, as I call it. Kind of like Robert Griffin III on whether he's healthy or not. But let's suppose the thought is out there that Tom Brady, his knee, ankle, something ain't right. And deep down within the organization, we find out he's only playing at 60% capacity. Okay? And what happens if it stays that way? I don't know about you guys, but first round pick maybe. 2 first-round picks? No way.
Right.
There's a lot we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't, just like, again, going back to the great example, Flanagan said, never say never, and that's what happened with Rice, Montana. For a while, Marino was considered on the trading block for a bit, with Miami dealing him.
I mean, I guess my thought is it will not happen this year. It will not happen right now. I think the team would have to sink to such a low, and maybe even have a worse record than the Jets. Oh, that's not possible. For that to happen, and I just don't see it.
But are people freaking out just a little bit here? I mean, we're saying here that we still think they can win 11 or 12 games. I think any team would take that. I think we need to look elsewhere. I think we need to figure out that what he needs, bring in another go-to receiver and make a run at this thing the right way again.
But, the problem with doing that right now is it's hard enough to bring in a receiver to learn the program in mini camp and training camp. There are a number of receivers who've come in that just have flopped. It's too complicated. They can't learn it. Brady does too many audibles at the line of scrimmage. It's too complex because Brady makes it too complex. It's going to be very difficult to bring somebody in who doesn't know the system. That's my opinion. Steve, any thoughts on that?
But in today's Patriots, Bill's not going to bring in anyone Tom doesn't think he can get along with, let alone think is smart enough to pick up how Brady plays.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Number two, going back to what you just said about wins, I think we're very generous on, you're right, I think you're very generous on saying, a team is going to win 12, 14 games. Well, as we all know, on a given night, excuse me, the parity in the league, 9 games will get you in the playoffs.
Right.
But forget that. You could be under 500 and win your own division.
Sure.
Right.
So it's, wins now, it is kind of a cheap, loosely used term because, the whole division can be under 500 as, we've seen in the past. But back again to the point about, receivers and can Tom Brady function and all. It's a very complicated system Bill Belichick has, but I think he's learned, a la Randy Moss, to name, one particular. I think they've learned their lesson that you just can't bring in anyone off the street.
Right.
Can't be just anyone.
Well, here's to hoping that they only lose 2 more games the rest of the way, and then we'll see him be a cool 12-4 and a first-round bye. So let's jump right to the Red Sox. I kind of got excited, especially at the end. They made big trades. They've got a lot of room salary-wise. They've got some good young players. But then I got to thinking, am I actually happy that they ended up in last place without a chance in the world of making it at the trade deadline?
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter last, second to last. I don't think it matters.
But my team is supposed to be competitive every year. The Red Sox are supposed to be in it every year. And here we are, last place finishes the last 2 out of 3 years, and I'm actually happy about it.
But with the World Series, I'll take that any time.
Well,
I'll take
true.
2 last place
That's
finishes
true.
if one of those years I win the World Series.
But we have to suffer through, August and September like that 2 out of 3 years?
Do you guys describe it as suffering or happy that the team is going about it in hopefully a smart way to build toward the future, and you're accepting of the rebuilding if it does mean second to last or last place for 1, 2, I don't want to say 3, but I mean, which of the above are you accepting, or you don't accept anything except a playoff spot?
Yeah, I think we've kind of spoiled ourselves in the last 10 years.
I think so also.
Right? So winning 3 can do that to you. And I think we've also seen them kind of turn this around. I think the moves that were done were pretty good. And again, like you said, whether it's last or second to last or whatever it is, really doesn't matter if you think they can turn it around. I think there's definitely some holes. There's some core players there, but let's see them spend the money the right way. And then if they spend the money, you almost think, well, why didn't they spend the money with one in particular in Lester when he was here, right? But in return, they get Cespedes. So that's not a bad deal either.
That's huge. Yeah, getting Cespedes was huge. I think, salary-wise, they're in a spot. They've got some players to trade. But, they pieced it together for their last World Series team. And the question is, can Sherrington do it again? That's a tall order. You could turn into the New York Mets, where for several years they had some great players on paper, but couldn't perform. So I don't know. The Yankees have a little bit. I think they have a little bit less flexibility because they did spend time where they thought they were in it. They made a couple of trades at the deadline, which we talked about in the past, Steve and Drew, and others. But I think they didn't have the flexibility because they thought they had a shot, and the Red Sox didn't, and that's why they made the trades they did. Made the trades they did.
I also think we're coming up on a critical point, and that is Poppy's diminishing years and how long he's basically going to be effective.
So when do those diminishing years begin?
I think we're in them. I think it's reality. I think we're already in them. I'm very happy he got his contract. I love covering him. I think he's been great for Boston baseball, but I think he's in those years. And I also am of the belief that, you got to look way past it, see where you're going to build, draft, free agency, and so on. But this is all part of this rebuilding. I mean, your 2004 team is next to gone right now.
Yeah, well, as far as Poppy is concerned, until his skills diminish, he's with the Red Sox until he says he's not. I don't think they could say, we drove it 100 last year, but we don't think he's going to drive it 100 this year. Therefore, that's it. And
people have been saying that for 3-4 years.
Well, I mean, the reality is he signed for next year anyways. But I don't think the fan base would put up with it, seeing them give up on him after he drove in 100 runs. And I think they'd rather see him go through a declining year or maybe retire in the middle, rather than kind of say, well, we think he's declining and then he's going to go driving 100 again.
I think where this is going probably at some point is he's going to fall off the cliff, right? Because we haven't seen really a decline in if you're looking just pure stats, and we haven't seen, he's still hitting 30 and knocking in 100.
Mm-hmm.
I think this might be one of those where he's going to keep chugging along and then he's going to go into a 2 or 3 month slump and never get out of it.
Sure.
And that could very well be the case. So that might be it. Maybe people are just waiting for that to drop. And I think there's a club options for 2016 and 17 at $10 million.
Correct.
Tomorrow, next year is $16 million, I guess. But so I think he's going to be 38? Is he 38 already?
Not yet.
DHs can last a while. I remember Edgar Martinez, I think, was 40. 41 maybe.
Yeah. But he admits that it's it gets more and more difficult every year. The toll on the body, even as a DH, he feels the effects. But until he falls off the cliff, I think he's with the team as long as he wants to be. They definitely have question marks. Kind of good question marks. Castillo is a question mark. Bogarts hopefully is not. Alan Craig, I don't know what to make of him. He didn't hit well at all in Boston. I know he came over with an ankle injury to begin with. So I think the outfield is a question, as you were saying, Flanagan, earlier, except for Cespedes. And catcher. The rumors Russell Martin has said he wouldn't mind playing for the Red Sox, but, it's tough to say. But they need starting pitchers.
Yeah, if Kelly's going to probably be there.
Mm-hmm.
And then Clay, I don't know. I don't know what to. He's going to be in the rotation. I don't know what to think.
The Cubs will take a chance on him, as they do with every former Red Sox player or Red Sox player that isn't wanted.
And then you got a couple really good young arms.
Yeah.
But you do need a front end type starter there, and whether that's James Shields or Cole Hamels or Scherzer. I don't know why you would go for Scherzer, because you could get Lester for probably about the same money or less. Less.
I will tell you, though, interesting with that Nats loss in 18 innings last week, and I saw both games. But I think one thing to take from that whole series is the art of managing pitching. If you're a manager, your personnel. What a lesson that was.
Mm-hmm.
I've never, and for example, for the Nets, I've never been a Drew Storen fan. And, you know, hearing the way manager Matt Williams would talk about it, full confidence in him. Okay, for the most part, unlike last year, he's held his own, pretty much go-to guy and has come through.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, 4 pitches really killed him in game 1 and well, actually game 2, giving up the tying run and all that. But just seeing how a manager, one decision can kill you is just unbelievable. And, you know, you're a manager, whether it's the Red Sox or Blue Jays, Yankees, Mets, whatever team, it's almost like every decision you're walking on glass when it's regarding your pitching staff.
Right.
And it also made me realize, seeing, stats, figures, and all that from last week's Nats series, that, okay, so Strasburg got beaten up, nine hits, whatever it was in game 1. And I'm like, well, he was next to perfect the whole month of September and all, and he had a pretty good year. But that guy, really tanked it for you. Had a bad outing in game 1. What do you do for game 5 if there would have been a game 5, which would have been on Thursday night tonight when we're doing the show? I mean, the decisions managers have to make regarding pitchers, again, it's like walking on glass.
And to your point, I mean, if you look at the 3 World Series championships the Red Sox had, Francona twice and Farrell once, they made the moves. They made the right moves to get through it and be successful. So you're right. That's a tough one. Tough job to have at that time of year. Because your resources are finite. When the games are going to be, and the series gets longer, and then what do you do? You're right. You're absolutely right. We're going to call it a show tonight. Steve, thanks for joining us from Washington, D.C.
My pleasure.
Flanagan, nice to have you come back in the studio and give it a go.
Yeah, I'll try to make it next time as well.
Well, that'd be great. Maybe Korn can recover from his cancellation tonight, and 3 of us will be back in the studio.
That's rare.
That is rare, but we'll see if we can piece it together like a good bullpen.
Right.
Well, thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for listening on www.yourbostonsports.com, as well as on YouTube. Check us out on Twitter, on Facebook, which is still Red Sox Alley. You could do email, redsoxalley@comcast.net. Post on our Facebook wall and keep in touch. Have a good night.
Have a great one.